There is always that one person who brings up video games in conversation, and you know who you are. Whether that be at school or at work or when you meet up with your friends, and it does really feel good to actually be able to meet up with friends now. If you're a gamer yourself, then I'm pretty sure that you would happily engage in conversation with someone if they brought up the topic of video games. And who knows, you may even share the odd story about a game that you've played recently. By this point, you presume that everything is going smoothly, you've both contributed to the conversation, discussing opinions on games, and then you think, yeah, this person's alright. Getting more relaxed, you start talking about a niche game that you've played and love to hear this in return for sharing your opinion. Ugh, that game is trash. In that very moment, you feel the dread circulating your body from head to toe, sweat dripping down your face, and the anxiety fills the room. You just got game shamed. Brief warning, I'm about to convey my opinion! Yes, I am about to tell everyone my opinion. Pre-warning for those who cannot stand another person's opinion. Anyone opposed? No? Good, then let's move on. As you can gather from this video, game shaming is the focal point. I'm sure that this scenario has happened to at least a couple of you in your life if you play video games. And it is honestly a really dreading feeling to hear someone who may be your friend or your best friend even, who doesn't appreciate your opinion on a game, that perhaps the person you are talking to hasn't even played before, so they can't really gauge the experience that the game took on you. And don't worry, I'm not having a mental breakdown, I'm pretty sure that's already happened. But what defines a true gamer? Now, I did my research and looked at the best places I could find for this information, and I went to Wikipedia because it's the most reliable source. A gamer is a person who plays interactive games, especially video games, tabletop role-playing games, and skill-based card games, and who plays for usually long periods of time. And so if you come under any of those categories, congratulations, you're officially a true gamer, according to Wikipedia. I personally feel that this video is relevant for both gamers and non-gamers. Obviously, gamers may appreciate my views and stances on certain topics, as I might be saying exactly what you're thinking at the same time. On the other hand, people who don't play video games, commonly referred to as non-gamers, may appreciate seeing the other side of the story. And to give you a bit more perspective of how it feels to be on the receiving end of being shamed for playing a video game that is not Call of Duty, and so if you're a non-gamer watching this video, feel free to stick around to the end. You never know, you might learn something new. As it's not just real-life confrontations that have caused game shaming, but now the internet has taken it to a whole new level. No longer can people trash talk you in arcades, now everyone can do it from the comfort of their own home over online game chats, so we certainly have a lot to dive into today. On this channel, I discuss video games from a critical standpoint and give you your fix of gaming discussion, so if you find this interesting, feel free to consider subscribing, liking, and turning on notifications for this video, so it helps me on my journey through the YouTube algorithm and also to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. And so it would be greatly appreciated if you could consider subscribing, that would be fantastic. Thank you, and let's move on. Being a gamer in a social group can prove to be a harder task than it appears, especially if you just generally love to play and talk about video games. I find that gamers always get the wrong end of the stick as they are shunned for engaging in something that they find enjoyable, because it's not even just the games you play, it's what console do you play on, PC is way better than consoles, this game series is trash, you play with motion controls, and so on. This stigma is not just relevant to people who don't play video games, but also people who do, and let me explain why. Even amongst gamers, there is a stigma. I'd even argue that there are certain demographics of people who play video games who believe themselves to be superior to other gamers just because they haven't played a well-known game before. This is especially the fact as sometimes these idiots won't even take your opinion on something because they are better. And that's such a weird statement to make, saying that there is such a hierarchy for video games. It's so absurd, but yet it's so true. All you have to do is look into the comment sections of any game review, retrospective, or discussion on YouTube. Heck, I might even have one right now. Why don't you look in the comments below? But now that you've looked in the comments, Don't be that guy. I beg. There is certainly a competitive nature to video games. It's inherent in everyone to be the best of the best. It's not so diminishing to lose a game, but when it's reinforced by a snarky comment in a game lobby, for some people that can be truly infuriating. This will most likely mean that you can be reeled into an online confrontation that will usually end up with either you or them leaving the game. And I do understand that was a big thing back in the early to mid 2010s, and it definitely isn't something seen often nowadays. I don't find myself getting trash talked by a 30-year-old who lives in his parents' basement sipping Mountain Dew and chomping down a packet of Doritos. And just as a side thought, as gamers, isn't it strange that we sort of subdivide our community? And what I mean by that is placing everyone in different genres of video games, whether that be role-playing games or FPS or racers. And from each group there is always prejudice to another, and that's such a weird concept, as we've almost created our own sort of gaming civil war. And although I haven't mentioned it yet, I feel like there's also a big brick wall between retro gamers and modern gamers. There's always that stigma of, oh, my games are better than yours because they're older and they're the classics. And on the other side of things, you have modern gamers saying that their games are so great and amazing because of the flashy graphics thanks to their RTX 1080. And it's weird because I feel like retro gamers and modern gamers sort of divide themselves, and I think that's so strange because as gamers we should all appreciate games for what they are, no matter if they're old games or brand new AAA titles. We all play video games and that's what it's all about. Although these types of encounters have basically been faded out with party chats on all major platforms, personally, I never find myself in any game chats anymore. Even when playing by myself, I always mute the game chat. I assume that many others also do the same. Recently, I went into a game lobby, not gonna tell you what game, don't want to get game shamed for that, but there was no one in game chat. Maybe this is the end of an era for Call of Duty trash talkers, those were the days. This type of shaming still happens, but instead of people hiding behind their controller, they are now hiding behind their keyboards, typing out comments which they know will at least get one person baited into a conversation. Generally, it's easily avoidable, but that does not mean that this type of thing has disappeared, it just appears to have changed to a different platform. Nowadays, video games are played much more around the world than people going to see cinemas or even watching TV, so it's evident that times do change. It's actually quite amazing to see how much gaming as a platform is taking over the entertainment industry. But that's a topic for another day. This just goes to show how much video games are being played daily by people all over the world, which is incredible. As perhaps in a few years' time, video games will be respected as much as cinema and TV in the entertainment industry, but I know we'll have to wait for that one. Video games are something that can be enjoyed by everyone, whether that be on console, PC, or even on your phone. Games are games, and someone shouldn't have to feel shame or discomfort for bringing up one of their interests in the forefront of a conversation. We all have our own interests, and just because you don't like someone else's opinion or stances on a topic, doesn't mean that they should be berated for talking about their passion, as there is really no shame in that. But I hope you did enjoy this discussion on video game shaming, or game shaming, I haven't quite worked out the title yet. But thank you so much for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe, like, and turn notifications on just so it helps me on my journey through the YouTube algorithm, as I'm so close to my sub goal of 1,000 subscribers. So hopefully I can achieve that by the end of the year. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, then subscribe and turn on that notification button so you don't miss another upload from me. So thank you, and goodbye.